Hello Aries, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus, and welcome to your reading. So Aries, today we're going to go over your energy as well as your person's energy. We're going to see how the both of you are currently viewing this relationship and how you guys feel about it and what actions you guys plan on taking each other's direction and are moving forward. So with all that being said, Aries, let's get started. Come on. All right. How does Aries currently view this relationship? Okay. Aries. So we do have the Tower. We do have the Seven of Wands. We also have the Six of Swords. And then we also have the Five of Swords. All right, Aries. I want to focus on the Tower really quickly here. So the Tower is linked to the Devil. And the Devil could definitely represent a very toxic and unhealthy marriage, relationship, situationship, friendship. It could also represent a very toxic and unhealthy, environment. But it looks like whatever this thing is, whether it be an environment that we're talking about here, a relationship that we're talking about here, it looks like it's falling apart. It looks like it's falling apart. And with the Seven of Wands coming out here, it looks like you're trying to keep it intact and afloat. So this toxic and healthy, like marriage, relationship, whatever have you, it is definitely falling apart. But as far as like you trying to keep it intact and afloat, I don't even think that you fully understand why you're even doing that. Like, because deep down inside, it's like, that this person, this relationship is not healthy for you, but you still find yourself fighting to keep it in your life either which way. And the reason why I'm saying you may not be fully aware as to why you're even putting up a fight to keep this person in your life has a lot to do with this energy right here. We have the Six of Swords to the Five of Swords. That creates an Ace of Swords at play, which basically represents the sword of truth. It also represents clarity. I don't think that you fully understand like why, you're fighting so hard to keep this person and this dynamic that you share with this person intact and afloat, especially because all it really does is bring nothing but toxicity, chaos, and dysfunction and instability into your life. Like, it would have been one thing if this person and this dynamic that you share with this person brought nothing but good into your life, you know what I mean? Then that makes a little bit more sense, you know what I mean? As to why you would fight so hard to keep this person, this dynamic between the two of you intact and afloat. But because it's bringing the complete opposite, I feel like at times you tend to kind of wonder why you even put up a fight to even keep this person, this dynamic between the two of you, intact and afloat as well as in your life. Okay. Okay, but it's falling apart. It's definitely falling apart, and we do see you trying your hardest, you know what I mean, to keep this person, this dynamic that you share with this person, in your life. Okay, how does this person currently view this relationship? Okay. All right, so we do have the Eight of Swords for them. We do have the Two of Swords for them, and then we also have the Five of Wands. Okay, so you guys find yourself in the exact same boat here. I think that this dynamic that you guys share with one another is definitely affecting the both of you, and it could just be affecting the both of you in two different ways. That's definitely a possibility, or it could just be affecting the two of you in the exact same way. But needless to say, this relationship is definitely affecting you negatively, and it's affecting them negatively as well. But you guys tend to find yourselves doing the exact same thing, right? Just like we see you putting up a fight, right, to keep this dynamic between the two of you intact and afloat, we do see them doing the exact same thing. So I think it's safe to say that you're not ready to say goodbye. And I think it's safe to say they're not ready to say goodbye, hence why the two of you are really putting up a fight, right, to keep this dynamic between the two of you intact and afloat, despite the fact that it does affect the both of you in a very, very negative way. With the Eight of Swords coming out here to the Two of Swords, that creates a Ten of Swords at play. And the Ten of Swords basically speaks of endings. It just kind of looks like this person, it just kind of looks like this person finds themselves just as confused as you are. Just like you don't really know why at times you tend to put up a fight to keep this person in your life, especially because this relationship affects you in a very, very negative way. They don't understand why they do it either. They don't understand why they do it either. They don't understand why they just don't allow this entire situation to come to an end, or they just don't understand why they just don't allow themselves to get up and walk away and just call it quits. So you guys are basically in the exact same boat. Okay. How does Aries currently feel right. So we have the 4 of Swords, we do have the 7 of Pentacles, and then we also have the 10 of Pentacles. Let's focus on the 7 of Pentacles really quickly here. You invested a lot of time and energy towards this dynamic that you share with this person in particular, and you want the amount of time and energy that you've invested into this dynamic between the two of you to essentially count for something. In other words, you don't want to experience another failed marriage and a relationship. Totally understandable, hence why, you know, you truly are putting up a fight to keep this dynamic between the two of you intact and afloat. Starting over is just simply not something that you want to do. Okay, so in regards to how, you know, you're currently feeling, Aries, what you basically feel like doing in this entire situation is healing this entire situation here between the two of you, fixing or repairing things here, you know, between the two of you. Because as far as like, you know, walking away is concerned, that's not an option in your mind. As far as starting over is concerned, that's definitely not an option in your mind. You much rather put up a fight to keep this person in your life than to just call it quits, and just simply cut your losses. Okay. All right. How does this person currently feel? Okay. We have the 4 of Swords, we have the King of Pentacles for them, and then we also have the 9 of Cups for them. Okay. In regards to how this person is currently feeling, with the 4 of Pentacles coming out here, the 4 of Pentacles just simply represents like a gripping energy, holding on to something for dear life, refusing to essentially let it go. When it comes on to you, letting go of you and what they've essentially built with you thus far is just simply not an option in this person's mind. With Temperance coming out here, it also represents like a healing energy, repairing energy. This is exactly what this person would essentially want, right? Is to heal things here with you and repair things here with you. So whatever causes big fight / argument between the two of you, I do see you guys moving past it. I do see you guys definitely picking up where you guys essentially left off of one another, but there's a but to all of this, okay? Due to this big fight / argument that occurred here between the two of you, it does kind of have this person kind of falling into this, you know, mentality of, I really need to get like my stuff together just in case something happens. Okay. So this person might find themselves trying to get like their financial situation in order just in case something does happen, you know, between the two of you. I am definitely getting that. This to me just kind of feels like an energy of them essentially preparing themselves for things to essentially go left, you know, between the two of you. Not because they're going to bring it to an end or anything like that, but if in the event you ever do, at least, you know, they'll be, you know, prepared is basically what I'm getting. They just want to prepare themselves for if in the event things don't essentially work out in some way, shape, and or form. So this person could very well be trying to prepare themselves financially, mentally, spiritually, possibly even, you know, just emotionally is basically what I'm getting. They're going to be spending a lot of time focusing on themselves. I am definitely getting that, especially when it comes down to like them like preparing themselves financially, especially if you guys like share a home with one another, things of that nature. You know, I do see this person spending a lot of time preparing themselves financially for if in the event things do go south. They just kind of want to make sure that they're good. Again, I don't think that this person has any sort of plans on essentially leaving you in this dynamic that they share with you. But if in the event, right, you decide to get up and leave or whatever the case may be, they just want to make sure that they're good. That's basically what I'm getting. If this person is not preparing themselves financially, I think that this person's just trying to prepare themselves mentally, spiritually, and emotionally for if in the event, right, things do essentially come to an end here between the two of you. Okay. What actions will Aries take towards this person or moving forward? Okay. Okay, so Aries, we do have the 8 of Swords, so 2 of Wands, so 10 of Wands, and then we also have the 6 of Swords. Let's focus on this 2 of Wands energy. Before the 2 of Wands comes the Ace of Wands, which speaks of our own personal wants and desires. It kind of looks like you want things to essentially get better between the two of you, but there's this overwhelming feeling of you essentially feeling like you're the only one that's trying here to essentially improve things here between the two of you, and that's causing you to basically fall into this energy of why do I even bother, you know, to try to improve things between me and this person if they're not going to put in the work, you know what I mean? To improve things between the two of us. What's the point? What's the point? What's the point? It's like you find yourself falling back into this energy of, why am I putting up a fight to keep this person in my life again? Like, can somebody remind me? Like, it has that type of feel to it. It's like you find yourself doing certain things within this dynamic between you and this person that you feel like you shouldn't be doing. More of the story. So you going above and beyond to try to create the healthiest relationship known to mankind with this person. You know, a lot of you find yourself questioning, well, why the hell am I even doing that? I mean, look at them. Like, they're not putting in the work to try to like improve this marriage and a relationship. Why should I? You know, it's like you constantly find yourself experiencing these moments where you find yourself questioning, why am I doing this? Why am I doing that? If they're just going to sit there and do nothing to improve this marriage and a relationship. I can tell that you want things to get better, you know, between the two of you, hence why you're putting in the work, you know, to make sure things do essentially get better here between the two of you. I just kind of feel like this person at times makes you feel like you really shouldn't be going above and beyond to try to make this relationship between the two of you better by their actions and their behavior and the way that they decide to essentially show up in this dynamic between the two of you. What actions will this person take towards Aries or moving forward? Okay. All right, so we do have the King of Swords, we do have the Page of Swords, and then we also have the 10 of Pentacles. The bottom of the deck, we do have the Ace of Pentacles. We also have the Ace of Cups, the Judgment card, and then we also have the Lovers. So it kind of looks like once upon a time, okay? This person was very hyper-focused on you and their relationship, you know, with you. They found themselves pouring a lot of time and energy towards this dynamic. It is basically what I'm getting. And it kind of looks like this person is choosing to prioritize something else now, which to me feels like their finances, their career, their growth, their expansion, their stability, their education, you know, things of that nature. It looks like this person's choosing to prioritize these things above their relationship with you. This person feels like for a while they've been very focused on you and their relationship with you and looking for ways to try to improve things between the two of you, and it just simply hasn't gotten this person anywhere. So it looks like this person's taking it upon themselves to hyper focus on something else, like, you know, their money, their career, their education, you know, things of that nature. And it looks like this person is seeing a lot of benefit in what they're essentially doing by focusing on themselves and their education versus focusing on you and improving things here between the two of you. It just kind of looks like when this person was very focused on you and their relationship with you, they didn't really see any sort of improvement between the two of you. They didn't really see how all of this was essentially benefiting them, because things, I guess, just continued to essentially remain the same between the two of you. But once this person started focusing on themselves and, you know, their health, their career, their money, their education, their goals, they're starting to drastically see an improvement in that department, which is causing them to want to invest even more time and energy, because they're starting to essentially realize that there is a lot of benefit in them focusing on their health, their finances, their career, their education versus their relationship with you. Hopefully that makes, you know, sense, because it does appear to me that when they were very focused on you and improving things between the two of you, they just didn't find themselves really getting anywhere. You know, they found themselves experiencing the same old outcome over and over and over again. So it kind of looks like they're just falling into this energy of, well, I wonder what would happen if I stop hyper focusing on Aries and improving things between Aries and I and just focus on myself. Like, I wonder what would happen. And as they're on this journey towards focusing on themselves, they're seeing a lot of improvement in that department, which is causing them to want to invest even more time and energy towards this business that they want to start, towards this line of work that they want to get into, towards their education, whatever have you. So it makes sense as to why you're harnessing the energy that you're harnessing towards the very end, where we see you kind of going above and beyond to try to improve things here between the two of you, and you're getting discouraged along the way because you don't really see this person focusing on you or their relationship with you or looking for ways to improve this dynamic here between the two of you. Is primarily the reason why you're showing up with the energy that you're showing up with. I do want to pull some advice, though, for you. What advice can you give me for Aries in regards to their current situation? Okay. So we have the King of Pentacles. We got the 10 of Swords. Then we also have the Seven of Swords. And then we also have the Nine of Wands. Okay. So, Aries, when it comes down to your overall advice in regards to your current situation is concerned, okay? You are basically being advised to do the exact same thing that this person is basically doing, okay? It's all about, you know, reciprocating energy, if you will, okay? If this person's not going to take time to improve things here, you know, between the two of you, neither should you. If this person's going to find themselves prioritizing themselves, their career, their education, things of that nature, you should basically be doing the exact same thing, okay? Because it appears to me that because you want things to improve and get better between the two of you, it is kind of causing you to kind of lose sight of other things that you should be focusing on, like yourself, your education, your money, things of that nature. So when it comes on to your overall advice, you are being advised to focus on you, your finances, and your career. I feel like Spirit just kind of wants you to get to this point in your life where you are satisfied with where you're at financially, spiritually, mentally, you know, emotionally. Spirit just wants you to essentially get to that point in your life, and then, you know, make a decision, you know what I mean, about this person. Is this somebody that you want to continue to spend the rest of your life with? Is this somebody that you really want to continue to invest more time and energy towards? But that's what Spirit wants you to basically do, is get to this point in your life where you find yourself 100% satisfied with where you're at mentally, spiritually, emotionally, financially, and then really focus on, okay, do I really want to continue to invest more time and energy towards this person, towards this marriage, or do I want to get up and walk away? Because to be honest, when I look at you and I look at this person's energy, this just to me kind of feels like an energy of, well, I'm going to stick by this person's side because they've been in my life for 20 years and, you know, I don't really know a life outside of this person. So I'm just going to continue to choose them over and over again because this is what I'm familiar with. Like, I feel like you guys are choosing one another out of that, to be completely honest. You're familiar with them, they're familiar with you. You guys have been together for, you know, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 25 years, whatever have you. Like, this to me just kind of feels like two people choosing one another just because you guys have been with each other for X amount of years. You know what I mean? I feel like the amount of things that you guys have gone through within your dynamic with one another has caused the two of you to, you know, definitely fall out of love with one another. I'm not going to sit here and say that you don't have love for them. I'm not going to sit here and say that they don't have love for you. I think it's safe to say that you guys are no longer in love with one another. And I think that it's because of the amount of things you guys have essentially been through with one another, which makes total sense. You know what I mean? As to why you may not be in love with this person like you once upon a time were. It makes sense, you know? But this to me just kind of feels like you guys are basically just simply choosing one another because, hey, I've been with them for, you know, 10 years, you know? So, hey, it is what it is, you know? I feel like that's just kind of why you guys are really choosing one another. It's just because of comfort. It's just because they've been in your life for X amount of years, you know? To be honest, you know, to be honest. I think that, yeah, I think that that's something that you should highly consider in doing, Aries. I'm not saying your relationship with this person is going to come to an end. I think that the only way this dynamic between the two of you will come to an end is if you bring it to an end, and I'm being totally honest with you. Because your person harnesses masculine energy. It's not to say that masculine energies are incapable of bringing marriages and or relationships to an end. It's just very common for feminine energies to bring marriages and or relationships to an end. Now, the reason why Spirit really does want you to kind of focus on you and get to where you want to essentially be at financially, spiritually, mentally, and emotionally, and then make a decision about this person is because of this. You guys are basically choosing one another just because you guys have been with one another for X amount of years. So this is why you guys just continue to choose one another. You're familiar with them, they're familiar with you. You're comfortable with them, they're basically comfortable with you. But neither one of you are truly happy in this relationship. Neither one of you are truly happy within this relationship because of everything that you guys have essentially been going through throughout the course of your relationship with one another. Um, Here's the thing, and this is just, something that, unfortunately, I've seen play out many, many times. When a marriage and a relationship starts to make two people unhappy, what typically happens at some point, and it might take 5 years for this to happen, or it might take, 10 years of you guys being extremely miserable with one another for this to essentially happen. But what typically happens, from what I've seen, anyways, is that what people typically do is they start gravitating towards people outside of their marriages, outside of their relationships, to get the emotional satisfaction that they're not getting from their significant other. And that could result into you cheating on them one day, or that could result into them essentially cheating on you one day, because it appears to me that nobody really wants to put forth the time and or energy towards making this dynamic between the two of you essentially better. And here's why I say all of this. Even though we do see you putting the time and energy towards trying to make this relationship between the two of you better, you're falling into this energy of not even wanting to even bother, try anymore. And you have legitimate reasons as to why you don't want to. What is the point of you putting in the work to improve things between the two of you? They're just going to sit on their rear end and not lift a finger to try to make things better between the two of you. That's not fair for you. It's not fair that you're changing all of these things about yourself to make this relationship work and they're staying the same. It's not fair. So there's going to come a point in time where you're going to stop putting up a fight. There's going to come a point in time where you're going to stop trying to improve things between the two of you. It's going to happen. But the thing is that you guys are going, because they've already reached this point of not really wanting to continue to put up a fight, and the primary reason for that is the same reason that you're going to find yourself essentially having too. When they were putting the time and energy towards trying to improve things between the two of you, it didn't change anything, according to them. It didn't change anything between the two of you. You guys were still fighting. You guys were still at each other's throats. You guys were still not getting along. Same applies for you, right? You're putting all this time and energy towards improving things between the two of you, and you're not seeing a difference. Within this dynamic or within this person, you guys are still fighting, still arguing, still not getting along. You see what I mean? Like, you want to invest time and energy towards improving things here between the two of you and see some type of benefit come from that, and you're not getting that. And that's what's discouraging you. That's what basically discouraged them. The only way that I see this entire situation turning around is if you guys give each other reasons. You know what I mean? To want to essentially keep putting in the work to change. You see what I mean? So if you're over here putting in the work to change and make things better between the two of you, you know what I mean? What you would want to see in return is them doing the same exact thing, right? Reciprocating that same old energy back to you in return. That's the only way that I see things really improving here between the two of you. It takes two for the both of you to make this dynamic between the two of you work. Because if there's only one person putting in the work to make this relationship work, it's not going to work. You see what I mean? So yeah, this is kind of why Spirit's like, hey, like if things don't turn around and this person doesn't start reciprocating that same energy back to you in return, as far as putting in the work to fix and repair things here between the two of you is concerned, you need to really start focusing on you and your life, and doing what you need to do to get to where you want to essentially be at, career-wise, mentally speaking, emotionally speaking, as well as spiritually speaking, because there could come a point in time where this dynamic between the two of you could eventually end up coming to an end. You know what I mean? Because you guys are not choosing one another because, oh my God, I'm in love with this man or I'm in love with this woman. Like you guys are not choosing one another for those reasons. You guys are choosing one another because, well, like we've been together for 20 years. Like, come on, you know what I mean? Like 20 fucking years, you know what I mean? I'm not going to go anywhere. You know what I mean? Like you guys are just choosing one another out of comfort, out of familiar, just out of you being familiar with them and them being familiar with you. That's pretty much it. You guys are not choosing one another because you guys are in love and happy with one another. And that's when things could get, kind of, tricky, because at the end of the day, you're a human being. We all crave to be satisfied emotionally. So you could spend the next 5 years in this marriage and a relationship being unhappy, but there's going to come a point in time where you might find yourself gravitating towards someone outside of this marriage, outside of this relationship, that's going to give you that emotional satisfaction that your person's not giving you. And one thing could lead to another, or it could play out the other way around. Maybe your person, might find somebody who, brings that sense of emotional satisfaction into their life because you're not bringing it. One thing could essentially lead to another. You see what I mean? So yeah, that's your advice, is get to where you want to be at financially. Stop hyper focusing on improving things here between the two of you. If you see this person trying to improve things between the two of you and you really want this dynamic to work, definitely reciprocate that back. But until then, you need to be spending this time focusing on improving your life. In every way, shape, and or form. And then, really figuring out what you're going to do with this individual, because you're not being advised to remain with this person if you guys are not going to put in the work to try to improve this. It's not a good idea because of the reasons why I already basically mentioned. Either you're going to find yourself gravitating towards another man's arms or another woman's arms, or somebody's going to end up doing it. Somebody's going to end up doing it, and it might take 5 years until that happens, or 10 years or 20 years, but somebody's going to do it because you guys are human. You guys craved, to experience emotional satisfaction in your life as well as in their life. And that's kind of like the path that this dynamic is kind of going down. So before it even gets to that point, you need to be focusing on you and improving your life and preparing yourself, and get to this point where you want to essentially be at and figure out, like, okay, do I really want to continue to invest more time and energy towards this? And if I do, are they going to reciprocate that back? And if they're not going to reciprocate that back, that is your cue that it's time to go. It's time to go. Don't wait until shit gets really bad between the two of you. Like, don't wait until you find yourself gravitating towards another man's arms or another woman's arms to then end things here with this person. Or don't wait until they do it. You know what I mean? Like, be 25 steps ahead of all of this. And just figure out, where you want to be, but do it once you've already reached this point of, okay, I'm where I want to be at career-wise, financially, mentally, spiritually. All right, boom, what am I going to do with this marriage? What am I going to do with this relationship? And then go from there. Don't make any sort of decisions as of right now, because that's what spirit needs you to do, is really focus on getting your life together and then figure out what you want to do with this person. Do not make any sort of decisions when it comes onto this person as of right now, because there's other things spirit much rather you do than to make any sort of decision about this one over here. Okay, so that's what I have for you. Hopefully the reading helped. Hopefully it resonated. And I will see you guys in your next reading.